Hello and welcome to our look at the top 10 arcade games of 1980. Before we get into the list, I wanted to mention a few of the underrated and lesser known titles, but I still think they're worth mentioning because where else am I going to mention them? So let's take a look. First we have Astro Invaders. It's just a Space Invaders variant, but it's a nice one. Worth playing. Lupin 3. Check out the artwork on Lupin 3. This is a Japanese character that made its way into the arcades. Some of you might remember the Laserdisc game Cliffhanger. Yeah, it's the same dude. N-Sub. A submarine shooting game with a lot of stuff going on. Well done. Polaris. Another submarine shooter game, almost like this is its own genre here. But seriously, another great game. R2D Tank. Good name and good advancements in the tank genre. Rip-Off. Protect your special triangles from the thieving thieves. Sasuke versus Commander. Hey, kind of a cool ninja theme going on, right? Space Encounters. Simple but effective. You know, I even saw this one live at the Portland Retro Gaming Convention 2018, so it's out there and it's fun to play. Space Panic. Okay, this one's pretty well known. It's commonly known as, or referred to as, like the first platformer game, but I still don't like it as a example of platformer game because there's no jumping. I like to call it more like an early Lode Runner. Honestly, it's not that much fun to play, but it is notable, so I wanted to mention it. Then we have Space Zap, which is fun for the reaction speed. You just gotta shoot in all four directions and stop those things from hitting your base. Targ. Hey, this is a simple idea, but because of the simplicity, it got ported to practically every system. You know, not super memorable, but fun and easy to spin up and play. All right, let's move into our top 10. We have a few runner-ups to mention first in no particular order. We have Armor Attack. This one has a cool backdrop, also a vector game. The overlay is what makes this one fun. But I remember seeing this one in my local arcade. Carnival. This one's often missed in arcade game lists, but it narrowly misses my top 10. Really fun game. I would go home strategizing on how to shoot all the stuff with your limited bullets and limited time. It simulates a carnival shooting gallery. Then we have Crazy Climber. Again, not quite in the top 10, but certainly a great game. Memorable, different. The controls were fascinating. You have to use two controllers, one for each hand, and try and climb up a building and escape at the top. Moon Cresta. Another space shooter, but this one had some memorable sounds, fun graphics, a little bit twitchy gameplay, as there's a bunch of randomness in here that always threw me a little bit. But I always liked it. Rally X. Okay, a lot of people put this in a top 10, but I think there's better games out there. Remember, the story on Rally X, there's a lot of people that thought this game was going to be the hit of the year. When they were displaying this at the arcade amusement shows, a lot of people were into this game. But then came along another game, which is in our top 10, so I'm not going to quite mention that one yet. And finally, we have Space Firebird. This one's by Nintendo. Often it's not mentioned, but they put together a really smooth-scrolling, complex shooter here. I think it's a great game, and just missed the top 10. So what are the top 10? Well, let's look at that. Number 10 is Speak and Rescue, or some people know it as Stratovox. And the reason I love this game because I have played it in the arcade with my dad, and the sound effects and the speech synthesis made it memorable. Help me, help me. We'll be back. Gives me nostalgia. If you haven't played it, it's a cool shooter. Good sounds, you'll like. I think you'll like it. Number 9, Wizard of War. Who hasn't seen this game, right? This is a little maze shooter game. 2-player, but you can actually shoot the other player and be cruel. So you can play in co-op style, or you can play head-to-head and try and shoot the other player. But when a quarter's on the line, people don't like getting shot. And again, we have some really cool voice synthesis, cool sounds. Those little organ chords and the screen between each level, I remember that. Fun stuff. Number 8. Warlords. This is one of the best Pong variants I've ever played, and still love to play this. Of course, it's hard when you're not using a spinner controller. But if you get a spinner controller, man, this game's great. You're bouncing the ball, trying to destroy the other person's castle. And the coolest thing is if you press and hold a button, you catch the ball, and then you can quickly adjust and let go of the button to send the shot flying. So it puts in some strategy where you can catch and throw, and you try and knock out the other castles and be the last man standing. It's a really great game, up to 4 players, and it's actually a 4-player game, head-to-head, that works well. And because of the simplicity, it was also a great port on the Atari 2600. A lot of people, I think, played it on the Atari 2600 more than the arcade. Both versions are excellent. Number 7, I have Star Castle. If you've played this game, you know it's terrifying. You get close to breaking through, but before you can shoot the guy in the center, the castle, if you will, it just shoots this massive fireball at you with a terrifying sound effect. There's a droney kind of background sound that adds to the tension as you break down the walls. It speeds up. What you really have to do is learn how to dodge the sparks flying around and dodge the gun by flying off screen and coming out the other side. So there's some strategy to get better at this game, but I love the color coding. It's all black and white, but with the color overlay, you get a neat effect, and I just love Star Castle. Great stuff. Number 6, Battlezone. This game really was revolutionary, I felt like, at the time. It's a first-person shooter. It's all 3D landscaped, kind of virtualized 3D landscape. Vector graphics, but sticks you right in the action. The controls are 2 tank treads. I love the 2 tank tread type controllers. And it was really cool. I mean, in the arcade, they had the thing you had to look through to simulate like you're looking in a tank. But with or without that, it's just a fun game. There's a little volcano in the background, which sparked rumors about being able to drive out to the volcano and up and in. But just overall, it was a unique type of game. Looked very cool. And it's one of those that I think people remember from 1980. Number 5, Berzerk. Now talk about voice synthesis. This was probably one of the games that is most remembered for voice synthesis. It had a whole bunch of phrases, including taunts. Intruder alert, intruder alert. Come back here and fight like a robot. The intruder must not escape. Even in the attract mode, coins detected in pocket. Like, that's some smart marketing right there. Coins detected in pocket. Berzerk was like a maze game where you are a humanoid running around trying to take out the robots, making sure that Crazy Otto doesn't catch up to you in the long run. Intruder alert, intruder alert. There's nothing like getting stomped on by a smiling emoticon. Chicken, fight like a robot. Destroy the intruder. Yes, the graphics were more simplistic than other games, but I think it worked. I think it was all about the gameplay, and I think the simple graphics actually made it a terrific port for the Atari 2600.
Intruder alert, intruder alert.
I remember playing a lot of this game because I had the Berzerk cartridge. It was a great home port. But, you know, this is just one of the great classic arcade games of 1980.
Attack the intruder. Got the humanoid. Got the intruder.
Okay, number 4 is Phoenix. This was released in December of 1980, so just at the end of the year they squeaked this one in, and you can see like games are already improving and developing new ideas. This is a multi-stage shooter. You got 2 levels with small attack birds that you have to take out. Then you have 2 levels with these bigger attack birds that grow from eggs. And then finally, the 5th level is like a boss, man. It's a boss level. It's a command ship, and you gotta shoot through the stuff that protects him. I don't even know what you call it, like some kind of spaceship shielding. Then you have to shoot through the rotating layer. Finally, when you create holes in that one, you have to go and time a well-placed shot to get the alien warlord, and then you get to repeat it all over again. So 5 stages, a terrific little game. Very memorable, the bird sounds, the shooter, and shields. Yeah, Phoenix is great. Number 3 is Missile Command. This was a hugely popular game, extremely well known. It's global thermonuclear war, man, and if you don't stop it from happening, everything blows up, and that is truly the end. It really left an impression. And of course, this was during the Cold War with Russia. So, you know, the theme was right, the gameplay was awesome. It was a trackball controller, which, again, you know, the arcade version is almost the best and only way to play it unless you can get a trackball controller for your home. But, yeah, Missile Command has a lot of history. There's even a documentary on the guy trying to get the high score on Missile Command, which is just fascinating. But, yeah, what a cool game. All right, we're down to number 2 and number 1. For me, number 2 is Defender. It could be number 1. It's really close. But Defender is one of the ultimate arcade games. In fact, it's one of the games that if I could buy an arcade game, I might buy a Defender machine. Because it's so difficult and because you can actually get really good at it, though, if you have a lot of time to practice on it. And if you have all the buttons in the right place. There's 7 buttons, so you gotta get good at it. There's an up-down controller, there's a thrust button, a reverse button, smart bomb button, and a shooter button, and a hyperspace. So it's overwhelming to the new player, but once you get into the game, the controls are intuitive and they feel great. You can shoot as fast practically as you can hit that fire button. And the gameplay is varied. It's got a whole bunch of different types of aliens. You got those guys trying to pick up the humans off the ground and turn into mutants, which is a terrifying visual already. You've got the stars that explode into smaller ships. I mean, I forget all the names, but you know that's because I'm not Mr. Defender. But I love playing this game. It's one of the video game greats. It came from 1980, so early on in the cycle, and yeah, it was hard, but that was perfect fodder for the hardcore arcade game crowd. Ate that game up, made tons of money, since you know, when you're starting out, your games might last 45 seconds, so that's a pretty good coin drop rate. But yeah, Defender's still one you can find everywhere, and some of the home ports are great, but nothing matches that sheer visual explosion of sound and graphics that you get on the arcade. Terrific game. And that leads us into number 1, which of course is Pac-Man. Like, personally, people might like Defender better. I think it's a more fun game, definitely has more long-term value than Pac-Man. But I have to give the number 1 game to Pac-Man because it just became such a monster hit. Pac-Man became an icon. He's known the world over. There's spawned cartoon shows and spin-off sequel games and on and on and on. Pac-Man was just huge. I mean, I remember having the Pac-Man board game for crying out loud. There were so many things Pac-Man related. Merchandising came into play here, and it really grew the arcades. Also a very easy to pick up and play game, so it brought new people to the arcade. All you had to do was control the little Pac-Man with the joystick. 4 ways to go, eat the dots. Eat the power pellets and get the ghost back. I mean, you know, revenge was built into the game, so that's always fun. So really the only downside to Pac-Man was that people got so good at it they could last forever on a single quarter. But that's mostly because you could memorize patterns so that it was similar every time, and then you could master the game that way. It wasn't all twitch as far as just being really good at it like Defender is. In any case, it was the first huge year in my mind of video gaming. I mean, we had Space Invaders came out late in 78. We had a few big hits in 79 like Asteroids. But this year you saw a ton of great games and arcades just started to take off from here. So looking forward to 1981. So hope you enjoyed it. If you disagree, mention your favorite games and where they should have been in the list. Love to hear your comments. Thanks for watching.